Hello and welcome to Stephen University. This week we are less tired and discussing Back to the Barn. That's right, the tired quadrilogy is long behind us. I'm sure you'll all be happy. I'm
happy Boxing Day, if it's a thing where you are.
Yes, that's right. This is coming out on the 26th of December, so
yeah.
Boxing Day. Just a little sort of apology. So, because we haven't seen the comments because we only recorded those episodes a couple of days ago from our perspective, and you know, I'm just going to point out that if it was very frustrating for you to hear us tiredly discuss them and go, well, stop watching episodes and doing the podcasts, guys. These are good episodes and you're not doing them justice. I agree, and I'm sorry, but we were in a tired stupor and we were hoping to get as much done as possible, and we were enjoying watching it and recording them, even if you've not ended up enjoying listening to them.
I think they were fine. I think you are continuing your 5-year history of being too hard on yourself at this podcast or podcasting.
Yeah, well, maybe, but I just feel like it. I feel like Chris, if I apologise now,
I've learned, like, at work, if someone delivers something and then goes, it's shit, chances are I'm going to think it's shit, and it makes me go, why do we do that so much on the podcast?
Maybe because it's shit.
No, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute we come on and go, welcome to the single best podcast you're ever going to hear in your life.
But maybe not.
Maybe we don't assess it either way. Maybe we just we just podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
Call me crazy.
I'll call you Chris if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Anywho, Back to the Barn, which is an episode. So, Chris, what happens in it?
See, that's the high quality podcast I'm talking about.
Now, let's just be honest.
Back to the bone.
Is your sarcasm any better or worse than my? Worse than my honest? Yeah, it might be shit. Sorry.
Welcome to the sarcastic episode. I'm only joking. It's early. We're tired still.
Don't do that. No, we're fine. It is early, but I'm fine. I'm awake.
This episode is called Back to the Barn, as Dan said. So it starts with Peridot and Stephen explaining about the cluster, or maybe reiterating about the cluster, I like to think. She explained it in the previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
Or explained it after that. So they talk about how it's growing from the ground, as we know, and the need to do something. So Pearl and Peridot both are then like, well, we need to build a machine that will drill down into the earth and we could potentially stop it. They begin to clash. We see them actually building the machine, or about to build the machine, and they clash again. And Peridot tells us the big kind of learning point of the episode, which is that Pearl is designed to be enslaved and designed to just help whoever kind of owns her, and on the home world there's just hundreds of pearls apparently. So then Stephen decides to make them have a competition to earn it, which he describes as like a Robo Olympics, because Robot Wars is patented. But it's essentially Robot Wars.
Robo Olympics is pretty catchy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
when he first goes Robo Olympics, your first thought is, "Oh, that doesn't sound as catchy," and then you go, "Well, actually, no, that's actually not bad." Like those two words do go together relatively well.
They have loads of competitions such as crushing and art drawing, which Stephen calls subjective. He's just being wanky. Pearl clearly won that one. I don't understand how that was any competition, Stephen, but never mind.
Yeah, but you would say that, Chris. You know, I think that in modern society it is expected for one to side with their crush.
I knew this episode was going to lead to many Chris has a thing for Pearl jokes.
Yeah.
And then
she was wearing your favourite outfit this week, Chris. She wore the spacesuit. You love the spacesuit.
I've never seen that spacesuit before, have I?
Yeah, Space Race. That's what it's called. Back to the Barn. This is the barn in which the universal spaceship thing was being designed. Remember the other time Pearl nearly got Stephen killed when she was determined to get to space?
Oh yes, yeah.
And she makes the rocket, and Greg's like, I'm not sure this is actually that good of an idea. And then they blast off, and it all breaks apart in the atmosphere.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time devoting 15 minutes of the podcast to what she was wearing. And then
that part was a bit of a silly joke. That episode did happen though.
No, I believe it. I don't remember the spacesuit, but I do believe it. And then, but you got to admit, like, her drawing's shit.
What, Paradox?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, so
So,
if memory serves, it didn't take much form. It was sort of a purple sort of squiggle, whereas Pearl's did look a bit more amethysty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it ends up as a draw, so they fight each other, and Pearl delivers some pretty kick-ass speeches about how she is a Pearl, but she's grown, she knows what she's doing. Peridot gets destroyed. Oh yeah, can I also add in, like, odd idea to get the creature that is the gem that is not too much of a threat at the moment because she's lost her armor, to build new armor. But I guess she has no choice but to work with them and trust them, and that's what they're banking on.
I think that's the same of both sides at this point. I think they're both banking on the fact that for their own survival, they're all stuck on Earth. No one's going anywhere. So I get the impression at this stage that they both are just sort of resigned to the fact that they've now got to work together.
Yeah. Which is going to make an interesting dynamic when they presumably don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. So Peridot and Pearl sort of make up, and they conclude that they need to build the machine. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. I thought the Pearl reveal was interesting. I thought all the robot stuff was cool. I think it's interesting because the episode starts and you're like, well, they jump into this quickly. Like, surely it's got a detour at some point, and then it does detour into Robot Wars. But it's so much fun, and there's so many little moments of comedy, like Steven twirling on the chair, smiling, and then they're like, it's not going to look like that, and he looks sad. And there's some good gags in the actual Robot Wars battle and stuff. I think it's I think the fun sidestep.
I thought the painting reveal was quite good, actually. Using amethyst like that as a model and stuff, I thought that was really adorable.
Yeah. Well, I thought, but it wouldn't surprise me if you could find someone who would pinpoint each different Robo Olympics moment as their favourite. Like, they were all really good. I thought there was lots of comedy. I thought the episode did its job, which is to be an episode about the threat, but not necessarily the threat, very well.
Yeah, because you can't rush these things. The show has always taken its time, so they can't just, after all the build-up, they couldn't have just built the drill and gone and done the cluster this episode. That wouldn't have been sufficient. You'd have been like, really? All that build-up for that? Like, you know what I mean? There's no way that would have been satisfying. So this is possibly the best possible way to keep on target without keeping on target. Part of you does think, as you're watching it though, someone just snapped them all out of this. There's a thing in the Earth that's going to destroy at any minute, and you're dicking about making robots. But like,
but Dan, they made those robots insanely quickly.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
They made those robots in a matter of seconds.
I think you're right as well about like everyone pointing to different moments, because my actual favourite is when they're racing and they crash into the tree and Steven draws a tree and gives that the point.
Yes. Yeah,
that's my favourite moment because it's just so... for some reason, that gag was just unexpected for me. I don't know why. It makes perfect... Once you see it, you go, well, of course the tree won that one. But like, it didn't occur to me until it was happening, and then I was laughing, so it didn't matter. I think I agree with your assessment. Yeah, it's a really good episode. Really nice way to do it. And then of course there's a pretty huge reveal. Really, you hinted at it in your you directly said it.
Thing, yeah.
The pearl thing. I mean, people have been referred to as Pearl referred to herself as "I'm just a pearl" in an early episode. Actually, no, it was in Friendship. Quite a recent episode, really, when I think about it. She literally was just, when she's arguing with Garnet about, like, she's talking to Garnet about why she feels so inadequate. She talks about herself as just a pearl. So she's not surprised to learn of her place in Homeworld Gem Society. Clearly, that was still the same, even when she was part of it, And then it also sort of makes her relationship with Rose make even more sense, because if she was in this society where pearls were just sort of a servant to a relatively high class gem, as Peridot suggests here, and rose quartz was clearly a pretty high-level gem, you could imagine that she may have been Rose's gem. She may have been Rose's pearl, sorry. And then when Rose started the rebellion, she sort of trusted Pearl to be her own person. So her affection for Rose makes even more sense, because in a weird way, Rose may have been the one to show her that she can be more than society has told her she's capable of being. Go on, sorry.
Well, also, no, finish your thought.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. I was probably just rambling after that.
But I think it also makes potentially makes Rose seem less shitty towards Pearl, because rightly or wrongly, obviously no one should be a slave or anything. But if the social decorum, the social culture at the time was that a Pearl was, a slave or was a servant of some kind, then actually Rose, maybe that's why Rose didn't return her affections or didn't ever address those affections, because to her she didn't need to, because Pearl is, an assistant, and the class structure, if you will, was that, to treat her how she was treating her. Not saying that class structure is right, but I'm saying it would make, at least in Rose's mind, that behaviour less kind of like, oh, that's a bit harsh.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the other question that's implied by this is, if there are hundreds of pearls, are there multiples of all the gems? That's the next sort of. Because I find that reveal does lead to two different thought patterns. So it did for me when I watched it. The first, of course, was applying that to the Rose-Pearl relationship, as I just sort of laid out there. And then, of course, the second thought is, well, does that mean there are hundreds of amethysts or sapphires or rubies? Which is like big question in itself. So yeah, there's a lot going on with that, because there's a potential for like a whole sort of.
Amethyst was kindergarten, so either. So
there were hundreds of holes in that kindergarten.
Yeah. So if they all look like amethyst, then I imagine it'd be cool to see them at some point with like her like brash nature, her like feral nature, because like obviously these gems have calmed her a bit and made her a bit more human, for lack of a better word. So it would be interesting to see if there are hundreds of other ones, whether they're all a bit nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. And it also seems that so it seems as well that not just do they have a class structure on Homeworld, but they have like the class structure. It determines your role within the society as well. Like, so Peridot is obviously, we've sort of said it before, is to come across as sort of this sort of like tech-based sort of like scout type. But like here, there's been hints that her role sort of was a little bit different, because actually was that. I'm going to be careful what I say there, because I'm not sure if that was revealed in this episode, if that's something I'm just remembering. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut just in case.
Mm-hmm. I think I wouldn't want there to be hundreds of all the others. I think it lessens, like, certainly if you think of like Ruby and Sapphire, that lessens that love story if there's hundreds of rubies and hundreds of sapphires. Even if others haven't formed Garnet, it's still a bit like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, well, it would make sense for certain gems to be rarer than others as well, because on Earth that is how gems work. There's a lot more amethyst out there than there is ruby or sapphire. Amethyst is a cheap gemstone to purchase.
You let off amethyst, Dan. Okay.
No, it's
with your cheap talk. Okay.
Can we talk about something very quickly else, just before we get on to the rest of the episode? Just to tickle episode, just one other thing that came up the other day. I looked up. I was looking up birthstones, because there's such a thing as birthstones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So certain stones come up for certain birth months, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm September, Chris.
Mm.
That makes me Sapphire.
Hey, nice.
Fuck
it. I hope I'm not Ruby.
No. Nadia, my girlfriend, she is July. That makes her Ruby.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't that hilarious and weird and strange?
That's nice. I bet you didn't even look me up, did you?
You know what, Chris? I did, and I can't decide whether you will like the answer.
Go on.
I could really leave this.
Yeah, but the longer you leave it, the longer everyone's going to assume that you didn't look it up. And
No, okay, you're Garnet. You'll be happy with that. I was messing you around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You're Garnet. Garnet is
That's
January's
weird that we're all
gemstone.
gems from the show.
Yeah, so if me and Nadia fused, we'd make you. They're mostly gems. To be honest with you, they're mostly gems from the show. Even the ones that aren't yet sort of like one of them's a diamond. So we know there's a diamond due to show up. So even some of the ones that, like Opal is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Opal is if you're October. Peridot is August. June is Pearl. And there's a couple for gems that you haven't yet met, but that's to be
What's
presumed.
June? What's June?
June is Pearl.
Hey, Jess was born in June.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So you're Pearl and Garnet.
Maybe my affection towards Pearl is just subliminally affections towards my fiance.
There you go. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Very good.
There we go.
Very good. I like that. Yeah, so they got, that came up to me, occurred to me the other day, and I just thought that was good. But it's funny, because I was holding off, because I was going to play this game of, you won't like the answer, Chris. You won't like the answer, and then hold off for ages to reveal it, but then you made the obvious point of it might just look like I'm just looking it up now, when I didn't.
I still think that. I still think this part is just a clever ruse. You ain't fooling me, Dan.
Yeah, I played it wrong.
Because I'm half you, apparently, so...
As soon as you said that, I was like, no, quick, tell them. They won't believe you. Anyway. Yeah, no, they did reveal it this episode. They revealed that Peridot was a technician and a certified kindergartner. They did reveal that this episode. So, yeah, that sort of shows that Peridots, or Peridot, presumably, potentially Peridots, have that same role in society. Not the same role, sorry, have a role in society.
I'd argue that the machine she made in their garage in 5 minutes was better than the armour she had in the first place, which is weird, because,
well, it's big and bulky, isn't it? Whereas the armour she had, the limb enhancers, whatever she called them, they were able to, they had a computer built into them, they could shoot lasers. Then again, her new one could shoot lasers, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Blew up a rock that way.
Yes, it blew up a rock, yeah.
Yeah, you could argue maybe big and cumbersome. I don't know. Yeah, you certainly could make that debate. Yeah,
that's fair.
Oh.
What other notes you got, Daniel?
What other notes have I got? Indeed. Let's see. One of the writers, one of the Crewniverse, Matt Burnett, who sort of storyboards on the show, tweeted that he'd been waiting for a part of this episode since he began working on Steven Universe. After the episode aired, he admitted it was the robot fight, because that is awesome. That fight is great.
It's great, but I feel like that's got nothing to do with the show. That dude, I get the feeling he's just a big fan of robots and any show. He could be working on Hey Arnold and was like, I've been waiting for the big robot battle.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. By the way, speaking of Hey Arnold, they're doing a Hey Arnold jungle movie.
Mate,
I've seen the trailer for it.
I was literally about to say, while I was waiting for you to call me and do this, I watched the trailer for the Hey Arnold, the new Hey Arnold movie.
I saw that yesterday. I'm excited. I like Hey Arnold.
It looks alright.
Is it just me or are all the voices different?
No, I think the majority are the same from what I was reading.
It's just been a long time since I've seen an Arnold episode. Is that what we're getting at?
But didn't you find yourself going oh yeah, we get to find out where his parents are, despite never thinking of that mystery for a decade?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I cared. I'm not gonna lie.
But I watched that trailer and I was oddly invested. I was like, I might check out the Hey Arnold movie.
What's weird is I've always had the impression you didn't watch a lot of animation when you were younger, but obviously you watched some Hey Arnold. There you go.
Yeah, I watched Hey Arnold. Yeah.
Because we've talked in the past about what shows you watched that were animated while you were younger. What we found is in that era when you should have been, but when most kids your age would have been watching cartoons, you were watching sitcoms. You were watching Friends and you were watching Kenan and Kel, and some of them more aimed at kids.
I watched Rugrats. I watched Hey Arnold. I watched.
I love Doug. Yes, give me some Doug. Love some Doug.
I watched Plastic Man as a kid.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's come up.
Love that shit.
Well,
Anyway.
okay. There you go. So you have got some animation in your history before you turned against it forever.
Yeah, I didn't bring it.
Heart.
I didn't bring it up because I don't analyze my my love or distaste for animation in quite the way you do. So wouldn't even think to mention it.
Oh man, you made me want to watch Doug now just by doing a bit of the theme tune.
Yeah, I know. Get that in everyone's head.
So good. I'm just going to carry on something from Nothing But Static as well. It'll be too late by the time this goes out. No one will give a shit. But I've been really enjoying the new DuckTales. Really enjoying the new DuckTales.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's good.
Anywho,
what other notes you got?
Obviously, this is the barn from Space Race. And it was on the drawing board, on the chalkboard when they get there, it's you, and you. Universe and Universe's Universal Space Travel HQ was on the chalkboard from that last episode, but it's now been changed to Gem Drill Productions or something like that. So it's like Universe and Universe's Universal Gem Drill something or other. So yeah, that's I know. Yeah. Obviously, there's a little hint to the fact that it looks like Amethyst is still wrestling in this episode, which I thought was a nice little side thing. She sort of, after Pearl gets through the fight with Peridot, Amethyst is like, you know, oh, that was awesome. You should come wrestling with me sometime, because she throws a really awesome punch. In fact, let's talk about that moment briefly. There's a great moment in the fight where Pearl,
that was great.
Where Pearl, like the robot fighting just sort of stops, and Pearl just throws a punch, man, throws a fist, and then like Peridot's face is like bruised for the rest of the episode, like a little bit distorted. Really cool design choice on what they've done to Peridot's face, but also the moment is really quite a powerful moment when Pearl finally sort of shows she's, you know, more than just a Pearl, or however you want to phrase it. I mean, it seems silly to ask because I'm sure you probably liked it as much as I did, but well, how did you feel that moment? I thought that moment was awesome.
I thought it was great. I thought it was the second best bitch slapping a giant robot I've seen this year. I thought obviously first is the Power Rangers movie.
Sure.
Obviously. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really like, again, quite an adult idea to just kind of make it like, okay, well, it's not about these machines anymore. I'm just going to slap her. Like, I thought that was a bold choice.
It makes a statement, doesn't it, about where Pearl is at that point.
Yeah, just so angry and raw and stuff, and it. I think it helps give that even more emotion.
I would agree. How does the episode? It ends weird. I remember noting that it ended weird. Not weird, but on a funny note. What does it end on?
It ends on Steven pretending to be the cluster.
Oh, that's
and talking
right.
to his hand. It's just an amusing note to end on.
That's right. I remember finding that so strange because I'm like, who is he doing this for? Like, no one but himself. Like, he's entertaining no one but himself.
It's not out of character, though.
No,
is
it's
it?
not.
I don't think.
No, and he is a child, so.
And he is a child.
I mean, he's a child. It's easy to forget that.
No, I know. It's just, I'm surprised that doesn't come up more.
It's true. It's the answer to many of our questions about Steven's behaviour.
Yeah. Criticised a lot of his emotional choices, which can be answered with, he's a child.
Yeah. I also love when Peridot. So when Peridot sort of wins the fight, everyone still goes to Pearl because obviously Pearl's their friend. They're all like, and they're all impressed with how well she did, even though she didn't ultimately win. And Peridot cannot fathom this. She's like, I'm the natural leader. I won. I'm the you know. I should be the one getting all the sort of recognition, praise, and, you know, glory here. And Garnet just looks around and just says, "Welcome to Earth," and then they all just wander off. And
I think,
go on.
That was the joke was the right way to go with it because that's the time they had. But I think it is interesting that there's an undertone, and you could have potentially explored the idea that, well, even though you won, Pearl was a good person, and Pearl stood up for herself, and that's maybe more important than winning.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they hit on. It's slightly more subtle than maybe it could have been. I mean, but it's that message is 100% clear as day, and I think that's really important. And I like that Garnet doesn't even feel the need to explain that. Like, it's just welcome to Earth, where, you know, there are things that are more important than winning. You know, like that's sort of the implication. You know, and I think that's really cool. I think that's one of my favorite moments of the whole episode. Actually, when I think back on it, It's a really good bit. That's all the notes I had, though, Chris.
Cool.
Yeah, so
There
I
we
guess
go.
that's everything.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wrapping up.
Yeah. So the next episode is called Too Far. Any predictions, Chris, on where this is going?
Too far.
It's going too far. Of course, I literally should not have even. I set you right up for that, didn't I?
I don't think they're gonna drill just. Yeah, then again, they might be drilling. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Maybe too far. No, because the episode. My guess would be. I'm gonna forget about the title. My guess would be that they. Again, it's similar to this one. It's about getting ready to drill, but we don't actually see the machine switch on and start, which is weird because they made those robots fucking quickly. So I'll be slightly annoyed if the next episode starts and they're like still building the machine. But I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose a drill going to the center of the Earth will need to be like a certain level of heat resistant, and a drill is a complex machine because it has to it has to be able to move the dirt out of the way. It's a bit more complicated than just like a robot that has like limbs that can just sort of punch about and sort of run about a bit, I suppose. But yeah, you're right. But it also has to withstand the heats. The heats, I think, is going to be the biggest. You'd imagine will be the biggest stumbling block of building a device like that in reality. Yeah. Therefore, getting the materials for that would not be easy. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's everything for this week. I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
And we'll see you next time as we discuss. It'll probably be the new year, I guess. Didn't even think of that, Chris.
27, 28. No, it would be just before. This goes out on the 26th. The episode will be up before 4 days. Oh, no, will it? No, because it's 29th. Thursday one, won't it?
It's Friday. No, yeah, this is the Tuesday one, 26th. And then the Friday is the 29th. So, yeah, we'll see you on the 29th of December as we discuss Too Far.